Timeout talk.
Welcome back to another weekly edition of Timeout Talks. We've got Josh and Ben in here, streaming on the one and only Minifan Network, sponsored by Chase and Throws Custom T-shirts and accessories, sponsored by the Ice Shaker, and of course, sponsored by the Kirk Minahan Show, and of course, once again, streaming on the Minifan Network. Josh and Ben here. I think we gotta get right into it, Ben. I know my lighting's kind of screwed up here. This is a new year for Ben. He's taken a corner in terms of the production, but I'm gonna turn the keys to him. I'm sure he's got a lot that he wants to talk about.
Yeah, as Josh said, 2026, my year for technology. I should say. I was trying to figure out a way to put it right there, but Josh, as always, Josh still better at technology than me. I think he'll always be a little more the tech guy than me, more of the talker, but I've got the equipment now finally. And I don't know, Josh, I guess it was just all the years of him putting up with me. Josh is hitting some Wi-Fi issues now, and I'm not trying to make fun of him, not trying to bring it up and everything, but I don't know. I don't know why he's getting screwed with that. You feel like it'd be the opposite. He put up with all my Wi-Fi issues. He should be getting a little slack cut for him, but I don't know. It's a weird 2026 so far. We'll get it. He'll get it figured out over there. But no, his Wi-Fi being bad is not even compared to as bad as my stuff. So I appreciate Josh saying that. But no, I'm looking good. I'm feeling good, Josh, too. I'm feeling good about this decision, like you said. I mean, it's time. I know you alluded to it right there. Let's just get into it. I know we're a little late on that one, both of us. I'm just getting out of work too. So, me and Josh getting out of work, we got to run over here. So just a little delays on that one, but I'm still dealing with all the texts and everything. I'm still getting loads of texts, loads of, what do you think of this? What's your opinion on it? And, it's the end of an era. I was a little hasty this morning. I was a little happier than people liked me to, Josh, to be with this news. Obviously, Mike Tomlin stepping down as the Steelers head coach after 19 seasons, never a losing record. Everyone always wants to bring that one up, and that's I'm sure these next couple of years I'm gonna remember all that and everything. I'm gonna miss some of that, and that's why some people are saying, oh, yeah, he really wants. Come on, there's our guy over there. Listen, hey, if you want Tomlin, go for it. You can have Tomlin. Let him go TV for a year or two. Just throw a bunch of money at him. He turned that Jets locker room around. I think he would. And just, one of the reasons that I've said this was a great move too. I think, he's still a great coach. He's still one of the best coaches I've ever seen. I know Jimmy, Jimmy from the show. Jimmy would like to disagree, and me and him will go back and forth. And obviously that playoff record, another one of No. Sorry, I got a little hair in my mouth. No, nothing from that one, masshole. We're not doing a little swap. Even though both guys, I think, are just no. We just started, Jeff. We just started, so we can get to some of that stuff too. But no, masshole. We're not doing that swapping. Hey, just like Marianne said, we appreciate Coach Tomlin. Appreciate everything. Like I said, not have a losing record is historic. It's been a great ride for us and everything, but every ride's got to come to an end, Josh. Bill Belichick, I brought it up last week too. Even Bill got ran out of here. No, get that out of here. Get that out of here. We'll talk about Arthur Smith too. But no, this is a good move, and say all good things got to come to an end, Josh. And the message has gone stale. He can keep winning, being above 500 every year, and he will be. He's a great head coach. He's one of the best coaches out there. He could continue to do this for us because he's one of the best leaders out there. And still one of the best coaches out there. It's just time for a change. 19 years. like I said, 0-7 or 0-8 since 2016 in the playoffs isn't going to cut it. He takes these teams that aren't supposed. We've out projected all our total wins the last 4 to 5 seasons. I get it, but we just hit this point every time in the playoffs where we're not even losing close games. We're just losing, Josh. I mean, we are just getting blown out. I think the average has been minus 21 score differential in the past 5 wildcard games. It'd be different if it was a little bit. I like that Marcus Freeman one. It'd be a little different, Josh, if it was closer games or we're showing a little more fight. But these last two ones, I mean, I watched the highlights before just to get a little pumped up of the last wild card. It was the last Big Ben one. I mean, no COVID, the COVID year, no fans in the crowd, and the Browns just absolutely steamrolled us. I mean, Big Ben had the snap over his head and for a touchdown on the very first play. I didn't think it could get any worse than that, and that game had a little similarities to it last night, Josh. I mean, the Texans defense, and I know I get it. I should have seen this coming a little too. Old stagnant offense against this great defense, your best in the NFL. We should have all seen this coming. I mean, this is pretty much, what we wanted to give it a little, in Pittsburgh, we wanted to give it a little hope to be a better game. But it was just awful. I mean, 140. Drake May had 67 yards rushing, I think. He had half our total yards was just in rushing. It was just a pathetic performance, embarrassing. And ultimately it does, it's not all on Tomlin, Josh, but if we keep having these losses over and over again and he keeps employing these same quarterback strategies, it's just time to move on. So, hey, I want to appreciate him, want to thank him for everything, Josh, as, all the Steelers fans. I wouldn't have, I'm not chanting fire, Mike Tomlin. I'm not booing him. I'm not one of those guys, but, enough's enough. We got to move on. Even Bill Belichick got ran out. The greatest of all times, these great head coaches, everyone's time is up. Father time is unmatched. It's a little different in this one, but, Father time's undefeated, I should say. That's the phrase. And it's true. It's just, you keep him. You keep him over there. No. Don't give us Fields. No, you keep him over there. But Josh, I'll toss it to you. Thank you for the long one on this one. I think he's good now. I think he's looking good. Well, just thank you to Tomlin and everything, but sometimes in life you just need to make some changes to move forward. Stumbled a little right there, but I think this is what we got to do. And hey, if we're going to be bad for 2 to 3 years, Josh, so be it. Look what happened to the Patriots. You got Drake May, you got Will Campbell, you got these, Christian Gonzalez, you got a bunch of other pieces. You were able to build up that salary cap again to 4 players like Milton Williams, Diggs. I know Carlton Davis hasn't had a good year, but you're able to get guys like that. Splurge on some of these players, Morgan Moses. So thanks, Tomlin, for everything. Appreciate it. One of the best of all time, but I'm happy, Josh. I'm happy. And get Arthur Smith out of here, too. I'm ready. I've got his bags packed, too.
Yeah, Arthur Smith is, just from those Falcons days, he should not be the offensive coordinator. It's just another painful offensive coordinator to another painful offensive coordinator in Pittsburgh. But hey, Ben, I agree with you. I think it was time for a change. You look at the Steelers last night, and I think Ben said it perfectly. Like, who were fools? I had the Steelers winning last night too. I went 4 of 2, 4 of 6. I think we both went 4 of 6 on the weekend, or you might have went 5 of 6. I think you might have taken the 49ers, but besides the point. But yeah, Steelers, big issues, Ben. As you saw last night, it all kind of just came to fruition. They were kind of just holding on by like a thread. They went on that little run that Aaron Rodgers had kind of alluded to, wanting to go on one last run. That was getting into the playoffs. Mike Tomlin was able to fulfill the destiny of being above 500 and cracking in the playoffs. But, James Burke and those guys talk about a 2-13 record, and it's kind of true. You talk about the last 7 or 8 seasons. I think it was the last 7 playoff games. He hasn't won one. I think they needed a change. I think Mike Tomlin, it's been great there. I was listening to some sports talk radio, and I kind of disagree with some of the guys on First Take. They were saying, the national sentiment is, Mike Tomlin, he's a great coach. We'll scoop him up. And not that I'm not saying he's not a great coach, but they were trying to say the local sentiment there in Pittsburgh is we want to move on, whereas the national sentiment's like, why would they want to move on? We'll take them. And I think it's kind of just overall. I mean, I think it's just something you've seen kind of coming to an end. Those years of just kind of getting in and those bridge years. It's been a bridge year since Big Ben left, Ben. And didn't mean to kind of play on the word Ben
That
there.
was good.
I'm very curious to see which direction the Steelers go next. I know that obviously they got to get I'm hoping they got to get a new offensive coordinator, new head coach, probably bring in a whole new scheme, whole new everything. What do they do with TJ Watt and company? Do they pay him? I mean, they've already paid him. Do they continue to do that? I know Cody and some other Steelers fans have said maybe we move on. I mean, a lot of decisions there. And Ben, I think you hit it on the head. I think the Steelers need to regroup, maybe a little bit of a rebuild here. Maybe it won't hurt to go out and, I don't know, maybe they make a trade for a quarterback, or, they go 5-11 or 5-12 next year and end up getting their guy that, I don't know. Maybe it's Arch Manning who comes in now. I don't know. I'm not a college, football guru. I'm not, an NFL GM, but I do think it was time for them to make that move. As you mentioned, Ben, they made that move, and last night was kind of just everything in a lump sum. There was only so much this offense can do, and it was kind of watching the same thing over and over again. Even before Aaron Rodgers got there, it was, this defense kind of can hold them in it until they can't hold them in it anymore. And, we finally started to see the defense even cave in this year, Ben. There was plenty of weeks where you were like, I don't know how we're such a bad, run stopping defense. Like, I don't know where our defense has gone. And I think it's gotten to the point where, you build up so much on that defense and the offense can't really carry its load, and you're stuck in no man's land. So I think this was the right decision. I think this was a very good decision, was made at a right time. I think Mike Tomlin will probably take the year off and assess. I could be wrong. I think it's a very coveted, free agency and, coaching carousel going on right now. So I think things are going to kind of slow down. I think Tomlin will take the year to kind of regroup. Maybe he does go on national television. I know for some reason, like, they're obsessed with hiring coaches after they're on television. Like, Jason Garrett's getting looks. I mean, is it because, do we not forget what Clappy did in every season was 8-8 and 7-9 and some of the worst play calling I've ever seen in my life. I mean, now because he's on Sunday Night Football making a couple good points, we want to offer him the keys to the city in New York. I mean, I don't know. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but again, Ben, I think last night was a perfect example of just, it all comes down to a crashing halt. And hey, Ben, this could be the turn that you've been needed. This could be all those questions and all those statements of the James and the Pats fans saying, oh, this is what happens when you go 8-8 every year. You don't get the chance to get a good quarterback. Yeah. Maybe now they will. And very big offseason for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I don't know if you touched on it, but where do you want to go next, Ben? Who do you go with?
That's a good point right there. No, just want to touch on your other point too, Josh. Great point over there. It's just the defense too. I mean, yeah, it was just solid jokes about Jason Garrett. Yeah, I forgot about the clap. That one got me pretty good right there. I remember those claps from him. Yeah, it's just like you said, just a few good jokes on Sunday Night Football. Everyone forgets, but yeah, no, I'm good with Jason Garrett. I'm good with all that. But and this is just another point for it's not entirely Mike Tomlin's fault. It's even this defense. I know you mentioned Cody said it too, or possibly moving on from TJ Watt. This is the problem. Josh is I'm not crapping on the Cowboys, but they fall into the same problem with this too. You pay a Dak and CD, you got to pay these guys. They're stars and everything. They're worth it, but you pay them all that money, and then all that money's tied up in one guy. These other positions don't get their money. You gotta spend a little less on it, then you start to see them not play up to par. You got all this money in Watt, Cam Hayward, and Jalen Ramsey, and people forget. Yeah, I mean, before the season, we were supposed to have the number one defense, highest paid defense, and people were saying, "Hey, They had higher expectations. They were thinking for a Super Bowl run with these guys. I mean, you got Rodgers, you got DK, you got all these veterans. One last run. And we were just barely scraping into the playoffs. We had the 26th ranked defense in the league. So it's like it's not entirely on Tomlin's fault, you know. Maybe he shouldn't have paid all these guys too. Maybe that's a little fault on him. But I think we just this team, it's just like after all these 9, 8 seasons, 10 and 7 seasons, you don't rebuild on some of these draft picks, and the team just kind of aged, and we kind of didn't do anything about it. You know, Cam Hayward's great. You know, T.J. Watt's great. These guys are Steelers legends. Cam Hayward's getting hurt on every play. You know, like I said, Derek Harmon's been great for us. That's a great pickup. Nice, nailed the defensive lineman right there again. Jack Sawyer's been good. Nick Herbig, Highsmith's but a guy we've drafted. We have the ability to draft on that side. So I'm not worried about that. I don't know, we just put too much money into these older guys, and now we're starting to see the team fall apart. And now we got all this money into these veterans, and they're not pulling their weights. And now you got to start fresh. We got. I mean, I hate to move on from T.J. Watt. We obviously couldn't have done it in the time. We would have just been tanking. This defense would have been so much even worse than it is. But I hate to say, we got to move. I think if we're seriously looking at a serious rebuild and sort of reshaping this team to be, we're New England, we're the Broncos and Bills, Texans, even all these playoff teams are. You got to get rid of these guys. You got to move on from Watt, got to move on from Hayward, move some of this money around. So, like I said, ultimately, at that point, I was saying it's not all on Tomlin for this one. This has been an aging roster that really hasn't been done anything with it. That's on the GM as well, not just on Tomlin. But I was going to say that's a solid point, Masshole. I saw that NFL Live actually. That's a good point. The lonely Bengals. I'm blanking on that guy's name. I'm blanking on the coach's name. He's so bad. Zach Taylor. Zach Taylor. Yeah, he's 3 wins. Zach Taylor's keeping his job. He's looking good over there. So, a little tough AFC North right now for grabs. But Josh, I saw this interesting name too, Chris Shula from the Rams. I believe he was on the Rams. I like that one. I know. I had a couple people mention to me Brian Flores. Brian Flores was one of the guys who I think we should have just kept on as the DC, promoted him as the DC, and sort of been the successor to Tomlin. I'd love to see Flores come over here, maybe get like a Mike McDaniels, OC, Cliff Kingsbury, OC. That's what I'm more so looking at, Josh. I'm really focused on the OC. Because I can't see any more of these plays. If I see another check down, I'm gonna. If I see another check down or another play on 3rd and 8 that's only going 4 yards, or he's just god awful. And that's that's mainly why I wanted to keep him on the Steelers. We got him from that Bengals debacle. I think Tomlin coaching him up. He had the defense playing well for us. I think he was just a clear successor for us. He got out of that Miami situation. He's with Tomlin. Tomlin can coach him up. And at the time, I mean, this was like 3-4 years ago. But he was like, hey, Tomlin's not going to be around forever. We need somebody else. And Steelers like to keep it in house. So just have him come up in the Steeler way. And that would have been a great plan. I thought that was the plan. I don't know. I think he obviously left. I think we might have let him go too. I don't know why. Because Terrell Austin stinks too. I'm just ready to get rid of this whole team and everything like that. Like I said, my slogan has been keep everyone. Everyone can go except Boz and Gainwell. Those are the only 2 guys I want to see on this team now. The only 2 guys that actually deserved it and earned anything. Get Rodgers out of here. I'm tired of listening to Rodgers throw the blame at everyone else but himself. That was just a little side note right there. But no, ultimately, I think, Josh, if I had it my way, I think we get Brian Flores over here and get Mike McDaniels as an OC. I like Mike McDaniels. Something to prove after that Miami job, after sort of that Miami ousting. And I think he can really just reinvent this offense because I'm not doing Arthur Smith or Todd Haley anymore, or whoever the hell was in between. I need someone young, need someone just modern, need someone that just gets the NFL right now and knows it's not run the ball first 2 times, get a 3rd and management and go from there. So Arthur Smith, get out of here, Josh. And I have no idea what the Titans are doing. Request an interview with them. I mean, please, I will literally drive him to Tennessee just to get that interview. He is just god awful. I just do not want to see him anywhere near us again. But yeah, I go Flores and except McDaniels or Cliff Kingsbury for the OC, Josh.
Now, what about one of those guys coming in as head coach? No?
Yeah, I take it too. I take McDaniels as another gig. Kingsbury another shot at it. Just need somebody that's just can reinvent the wheel a little for us, get us out of these Stone Age times. And those guys, the Cardinals and Dolphins, obviously aren't the best situations in the NFL. I think the Steelers, a team built with a little more culture, a little more ingrained in knowing what they want from their coaches, and the city. We're going to be, we're not always yelling fire. It takes us a lot to say fire a coach and everything, Josh. We're not those fans. We're not chanting it all the time, but I always go back to this point. It's not entirely Tomlin's fault, but if you get driven into it, these fans are going to give it to you like that. But I think we need somebody we're going to be a little lenient with the newcomer. And I think, another chance for McDaniels or Kingsbury would be perfect for us over here. So I take those guys over there. I just thought that Chris Shula one was interesting too.
Yeah, I mean, the Rams they've been great. I mean, if you're coming from their coaching tree, from a Sean McVay coaching tree, I think it's good. I think it's great. I mean, you look at the Kyle Shanahan coaching trees, you look at the Andy Reid's, the Bill Belichick's, Brian Flores coming from New England. I mean, there's just so many of those guys that are just highly coveted and touted coming from those coaching trees. I'm very interested. I think the Steelers would be smart to kind of go the Ben route, go somebody, we haven't really seen. I think Brian Flores is a dream made in heaven. He's younger. He gets it. I know it's kind of, some people are coming and say, it's just the same thing as Mike Tomlin, defensive minded. Nope. I think, defensive minded still got that defense, even if they trade TJ Watt and they get a couple pieces or whatever they do. I mean, Ben, they're still going to have a bunch of good defensive players. I like Porter over there. Ramsey had a pretty good year despite all the stuff. I thought he was solid.
He can go too.
Ben doesn't love it, but he's been okay.
He had a good year, but too old.
Ben's like, he could probably go, but this is what I mean. They have pieces. I think Brian Flores would be a match in heaven. He's younger. And then, like you said, you pair him up with that young-minded offensive coordinator. I don't know. Maybe it is a Cliff Kingsbury. I mean, that's a dream scenario in Pittsburgh, but I think that this is a destination I would want to go to, Ben. I would rather go to Pittsburgh than, Miami or the Jets or the Raiders or the Cardinals. I don't know. That's just me. The Cardinals, they're in cap hell too. They've got a Kyler Murray issue they got to handle. I'm all set with that. Miami with the Tua, I don't know. I think the Steelers they have a championship winning DNA. And, they're just a quarterback away. I believe. I truly believe that, obviously a couple pieces as well. I know Ben's probably like, we need another wide receiver and, we actually need a better offensive line and we need this and that. But, I mean, I think the Steelers are a few pieces away. And this is why I think it was the right decision to move on from Tomlin, have somebody come in. And that's kind of going to be the question mark moving forward, Ben. Who's going to be the one to move in? Who's going to be the one to kind of save the day? And who's going to be that quarterback? I mean, next year, do they take that full tank set? I mean, I don't know. I mean, knowing Cody, they could sign me as the head coach, and he'll say they're going to win 14 games next year. But I don't know. I think this was the right decision for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think it came at a right time. They gave it one last run. And, I was wrong. The Texans, I mean, we'll talk a little bit more about them. We'll probably get into some of our divisional round matchups soon here. But, I mean, Texans, they proved me very wrong. And it was a rough night for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah, I thought it'd be a little more of a fight, Josh. But as you said, we're both wrong on that one. I thought the Steelers, and they had their chances. I mean, Stroud gave them plenty. They had great field position. They had way better field position than the Texans. Most of the game, Stroud just fumbling and just continuing the fumbling. Obviously, the interception was in our own end of the field, so that was a little different. But, I mean, he gave us the ball above the 40 twice. I mean, we had a red zone attempt out of it. Then Rodgers, one of them, just gets sacked by nobody. He didn't even get sacked by anybody. I think they just pushed him. They pushed our lineman, getting close to him, and he just stepped back a little and got tripped over. Our lineman that was on the ground from Will Anderson, bringing him down. So those guys are just unreal. Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter, That's just the matchup I'm going to be looking for in that Pats Texans one. Can they handle those guys? I mean, I know. I think it was the group chat, Josh. I know some people saying Legion of Boom vibes, and they
I think it
kind of
was
did.
me.
I think that was him. I think that was you, Josh, and that kind of guy. I mean, they're legit. I mean, these obviously, I'm not going to say like I've known these guys, and I know that they've had a great defense this whole year, but I'm not going to say like Jalen Petre, like I've seen him every play and everything. But listen to the broadcast last night, I guess bringing him up in the nickelback. I mean, I remember when they drafted him, his second rounder. They had all these draft picks, and he was good. He was highly touted out of Baylor, but it kind of took him a little while. They moved him to nickel, and they get Lassiter back there. Draft Stingley. There's a couple other good guys over there, but the linebacker Shazier, Shazier, however you pronounce it, Al. No, not
Alshire.
Al Shire, and
Yep.
Henry
Yep.
too out of Alabama. Obviously, those edges, Danielle Hunter, and Will
Autry
Anderson, and they got Entree Rankins. I mean,
just
they've
keeps
just got
going.
studs. They just got studs at every position. Yeah, there's just missing a couple of the other safeties. They got some great safeties over there too. Some well-known names with some of the young guys. So, I mean, this defense is legit. There's a reason why they were so good all year and everything. They made this sort of second half run. So I gotta give them credit. Probably should have seen that a little more coming. Josh Aaron Rodgers literally only did well last week because Kyle Hamilton got out of there. And hey, not saying entirely, but I mean Kyle Hamilton left the game, and you saw the offense produce a lot better than what it was doing. So definitely should have seen this coming from the Steelers' perspective, but Texans dangerous, Josh. Pats fans, this is the biggest test. So I'm going to be rooting for the Texans. Let's go Texans. I don't want to see the Pats back in the AFC Championship yet, but this is going to be a true test for the Bakemas. I know that's not him, but I just had to slip that in there.
I like it. I mean, and hey, let's talk about those guys. I mean, some people thinking Drake May didn't have his best performance, and some people saying, they got it done, finally had a win in however many, I think 6 years for New England Nation. Stephon Diggs and them boys, finally they got the win. And hey, they were able to get the Chargers up out of there. And one thing, Ben, I'm done. I'm done with the Justin Herbert stuff. I know that he didn't have the offensive line and this and that, but I mean, this guy is just fight or flight. He's running. I don't think I think he's like America's darling. We don't want to give him any slander. We don't want to bash him, but you look at his track record. I mean, last year against the Texans, he threw 4 or 5 interceptions. I could be wrong on that. The first playoff game that he was in, he blew a 28 or 21-3 lead in the second half. And then this game, he gets absolutely whomped by the Patriots, who didn't even play amazing on offense. Of course, I knew the Patriots were going to win. I thought they were going to dominate them more than they were. I thought it was going to be a little higher of a score there. Chargers, they got a better defense than I thought. But Drake May and the boys are moving on, and Justin Herbert, I have to say this to Jose, but I mean, he's right in that category of Dak Prescott, the CJ Strouds, come on. I'm sorry. It's just, it is. I mean, he still had weapons out there, Ben. He still had Ladd. He still had Johnston. He still had Grenade, whatever that guy's name is. Grandade, Omarion Hampton kind of played by
Gatson. Was it Gatson?
Gatson. Yeah. I mean, Ben, I don't know. I don't think Herbert he's not on that tier that everybody was putting him on. He's not on that top tier. He's on 100%.
Yeah, I like it, Josh. I agree. As you heard on 98.5 say the same thing. They put him in that Dak category. Great regular season guy, no offense to Dak and everything. I think Dak's had a playoff win. Has he? I think that has Dak had a playoff win.
Two,
Two,
yeah.
yeah. I mean, it's not even. It's kind of sliding Dak in that one. They compared him a little more to Drew Bledsoe. They threw Dak in that category, but I think Dak's better than him in that regard. Hey, you got a couple playoff wins. You got to give it a Dak in that regard.
Retired
But
Brady.
yeah. There we go. I mean, listen, he really did. But these other guys. These Bledsoes, and I kind of know you threw Stroud in there. Stroud, I think Stroud's a little better too, a little better in it. He's in like the higher tier of the tier two. He's still in tier two, but I think there's like tiers in there.
Wow.
I mean, I like Stroud. Stroud's good. I mean, obviously he didn't have a great game last night, but when he had to be good, he picked it up and everything. But no, I mean, I think Herbert's just something's up with him. Something's up with he's just got to play. I don't know. He just can't perform in the playoffs. Just from that, as you brought up that Jags debacle. I mean, just that was just awful. I think that might have just screwed him up for life. I mean, lose. I don't know how many touchdowns they were. I think they were up 3, 4 scores, and you lose into a Jags team like that. And obviously last year throwing like 4 picks, and this year the Pats just blitzed them. The Pats they just killed them. They just literally. I didn't think he would get up half the time. So kudos to him on that. But I don't know, Josh. Yeah, I agree. I think he's in that tier two now. He's not with the Lamars and Josh Allen's and Mahomes, Burrows. He's got to work his way back up there because of these playoffs. I mean, he's great in the regular season. Like he can compete with those guys in the regular season, but he's just brought down because of this dreadful postseason performances. I don't know what happens. He can't even do anything. Like you said, he had weapons out there. I mean, you had an injured Christian Gonzalez. He was moving the ball all right, but maybe it's just the Chargers too. Just the Chargers are always so banged up and everything, but you figured he'd find a way to get a little more off in that game, and he just couldn't do it. So yeah, I'm gonna have to put him in that tier two as well, Josh. He needs to figure out how to get it done.
100%. And this is something moving forward I'm going to be bringing up a lot, especially with the guys like Jose coming at Dak. But we're getting later in the show here. Let's kind of take a look. So kind of try to do my best here at the graying out teams. But the wild card is officially moving on. Panthers, they gave their best run against the Rams. I kind of want to dive into some of these divisional round matchups. We can kind of preview them, get into them, then give our predictions. You saw the Rams ousting them. That kind of feels like most people's favorite there in the NFC. The 49ers shocking the defending Super Bowl champion Eagles. I mean, just a great weekend if you're a Cowboys fan. Cowboys slide into that top 20 pick, and the Bears, Caleb Williams and company, stun the Packers, come back down from 18, get the job done. You've got the best player in the world, Josh Allen, going into Jacksonville, getting the job done. Everybody said, oh, this is the team they don't want to play. And he goes in, he finally gets the job done with a bunch of wide receiver 3s and 4s. And, of course, your New England Patriots moving on in, the Texans. But with that all being said and done, let's hop into this first game here. Let's dive into the game that is another daunting task here for the Buffalo Bills as they travel into Denver, the Mile High City here, to take on the Denver Broncos. Ben, what do you see in this game? And I just want to say this too. The Buffalo Bills are injury riddled. They lose Tyrell Shavers. They lose Gabe Davis this weekend. They're getting Ed Oliver, and I believe they're getting Curtis Samuel back on that 21-day window there. But a lot of injuries going on in Buffalo, and it's going to be a tough team and a tough tale to task there in Denver.
Yeah, no. It's always tough with the Broncos going into Denver, Josh, and playing in that Mile High. But I got to ride with the Bills. I don't know. Something about Josh Allen. I know we brought him back up, but Lamar, Joe Burrow, no Mahomes in the playoffs. This is his time. He already had a nice little win against Trevor Lawrence. Some people are saying Super Bowl contenders in the Jags and everything. They showed it. They look good. I mean, they put it up, but Josh Allen just turns it on in the playoffs. He's got that second mode that Herbert doesn't get to. And he just has that MVP performance, that little shot at Herbert right there. But no, he proved that he's playoff Josh. It's not a nickname, but I kind of like that over there for him. So, I mean, I have all the quarterbacks, at least on the AFC side. I got to look back, even probably on the AFC side. I know Stafford looked great and everything. But, I mean, this is the quarterback I trust the most, Josh Allen. I mean, these guys, some of these other Brandon Cooks catching some passes. I mean, Bills just have such bad wide receivers. I mean, Brandon Cooks is coming out of nowhere. I mean, Keelan Coleman had a nice catch. I believe, at the end over there. And Shakir was always solid. Kincaid, nice touchdown. So, Allen, the guys can step up when they can, but still it's just tough to see some of those weapons out there for Josh Allen, but just shows how great he is. So I think I'm going to go with the Bills in this one, Josh. I'm liking the Bills. I'm liking what they saw from them against the Jags. I know this is tough going into Denver, Bo Nix. But like I said, again, some of these guys back for the Bills, are getting a little healthier. I don't know. Bo Nix just in that inconsistent play sometimes. The Broncos sometimes just wait till the fourth quarter to figure out, or just figure it out in one quarter and build such a good lead, and they just kind of milk it for the rest. Obviously, that Giants game comes to mind too. Just a crazy comeback win in that one, and multiple comebacks throughout the years. But I mean, just thinking about that Giants one off the top of my head, but you're not going to be able to pull off those comebacks, Josh, in the playoffs. So I'm going to take the Bills. I like the Bills in this one. I got to trust Josh Allen, the most trustworthy quarterback in the playoffs right now.
I agree. I think, you look at the Buffalo Bills right now, and I'm not going to stray away from my prediction I made a couple weeks ago, or 3 or 4 weeks ago. We'll get to that after. But I mean, the Buffalo Bills are just must-see football right now. They go into Jacksonville, in which I agree, Ben, they were one of the toughest teams, if not the hottest team in the AFC at the time. And this is what the Bills do. They took that Patriots streak. They took that Broncos streak. I forget who else it was. They took their streak. I mean, they've just been on a winning streak. People forget they almost beat the Eagles in that crazy game, despite that 2-point conversion miss. But this is it, and this is exactly what you said. It's playoff Josh Allen. Yes, they're going to have some uphill battles. They don't have those role players like the Tyrell Shavers and the Gabe Davises. And I know people are probably rolling their eyes, but as Ben mentioned, when you look at that depth chart, they need every single player to make those key contributions, because they don't have the skill players, I should say. They have the depth. They don't have the skill players at those depth positions, in those skill positions that they really need talent there. Josh Allen's their best player, and I think we're going to see a lot better of a game from James Cook. They won that game without their second best player on their team. I'm going to go as far to say that. I think Christian Benford had a pretty bad game. And you look at the Denver Broncos, I think that this Buffalo Bills team matches up well. Aside from Courtland Sutton, they don't have the best offense. And what this game's really going to come down to, Ben, is Josh Allen in that offense. And what can those wide receivers do? As you've mentioned, you're getting contributions from I almost said Diggs. You're getting contributions from Cooks. You're getting them from Hawes and Dawson Knox and Dalton Kincaid. And, they need these contributions from these guys because they don't have the talent. But I guess I'm going to say this. I'm questionable on the Broncos. I think that this defense is very tough, but I think that the Bills can have their way, and I think they can score on this defense. And I think I can trust the Buffalo Bills defense to be sound enough to make the stops when they need to. Again, they went into Jacksonville, shut down a pretty red-hot team in Jacksonville, and as you mentioned, there's a ticking time bomb in Josh Allen's head. He knows this is the year to win it. Sean McDermott's time is kind of coming to an end there. Joe Brady's getting head coaching calls. I mean, this whole little guru here in this trio, whatever you want to call it, could be coming to an end if they don't see results quickly. Of course, they're not going to get rid of their MVP quarterback, but I just mean in terms of, the legacy there in Sean McDermott, the Joe Brady's, and, those old players like Tre'Davious White, who's even been playing great. But I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. I see the Buffalo Bills winning 24-20. I like Bo Nix, but I think they're pretty young. They're coming off of a bye week. They're going to be kind of rusty. I think this Buffalo Bills team is poised for a Super Bowl, at least an appearance. I think the Buffalo Bills get the job done on the road yet again.
I like it, Josh. I like it. Both of us going Bills on that one. Yeah, nice and easy.
Nice and easy, Ben. 8:00 game. This is an interesting one. Two teams a lot of people didn't see in the divisional round, at the beginning of the year. The 49ers, just devastating injuries. They've survived the injury bug. And then the Seahawks, on the other hand, they go out, they get their franchise quarterback. They've been able to kind of survive holding on to that number 1 seed. 14 wins, Ben. When I was looking at this, I was like, How did they get to that? I'll go quick here. I'll go first. This is a huge divisional matchup. Huge divisional matchup. And I think this comes down to two quarterbacks who have kind of been questioned. We've seen Brock Purdy in the championship. We've seen Brock Purdy get the job done when he needs to, hence last week, hence his other playoff games, hence beating my Cowboys. Darnold, on the other hand, doesn't have that playoff win. He kind of has that Tony Romo-esque to him, where he kind of chokes it a little bit. Last year, a lot of people were kind of hampering his offensive line, saying that was the issue. Well, now we're going to kind of finally see what it is. Is it Sam Darnold, or was it kind of the offensive line and just a bad situation there in Minnesota? Then I'm going to tell you one thing. The biggest takeaway for this game is the fact that the 49ers have these injuries. I'm going to go against the grain. I'm going to go against what they've been built off of, and that's not doubting their depth, not doubting Kyle Shanahan, and I'm going to have to do it here. I think the Seahawks get the job done at home. I can't see them losing this game at home. I mean, the crowd's definitely going to play a factor. They've already beaten them once to get that number one seed people forget about. And I just think those injuries have caught up, Ben. I know Fred Warner's going to be on his way back, but I think it's just going to be a little too late. I think the 49ers don't have a number one they can throw to. I think the Seahawks defense is very stingy, very undercovered, and very underrated in many ways. People don't realize how deep they are. And I think they're going to get the job done in kind of a close game. I think they win by a touchdown. I'm going to say 27-20. The Seattle Seahawks get the win at home. And we're going to kind of see a familiar streak here of close playoff games, because last week all the games were pretty close, Ben.
Yeah, I like it, Josh, over there. I mean, great wild card weekend. I love the wild card weekend, first madness and everything. And it proved to be. I think they had a bunch of just sort of record-breaking fourth quarter comebacks, lead changes, all that good stuff. So, wild card weekend, one of my favorite weekends in sports. Delivered this time, didn't fall short this year. So, like I said, for that other score, I'm going to go 27-24 Bills. Bills over Broncos. I didn't do that one, and I've been agreeing with Josh a lot today, but I'm going to disagree. I'm taking the Niners. I'm taking Niners. It's the stupid pick. I won't lie. Because Josh said, I mean, the Seahawks defense is legit, and they've beaten them, and it's kind of crazy. Look at the NFC playoff matchups. It's basically just the NFC West. I mean, you got this one right over there. The Rams are over there. Only if the Cardinals could have kept it together, you never know. We could overhear the Cardinals stink, but no, it's kind of just crazy for the West. But I think there's just something with this San Fran team. I know I was going to mention, I mean, Darnold, I wish maybe if we paid him some money, Steelers be in a little better position with him, because he is looking like a franchise quarterback, but I think he's going to get some of those woes again. I don't know. Like some of these late, playoff games, he hasn't brought his best performance, much like Justin Herbert. I think he might just be a regular season quarterback at times. So I'm going to lean on the Niners, be a little different. Like what I saw from them, Brock Purdy looked great. Obviously, that Eagles team was a little different, I guess, a little more reeling than the Seahawks defense, but that was still a formidable defense in Philly. Probably one of the toughest places to play, and Brock Purdy looked fantastic. He looked like one of the best quarterbacks out there, and looked calm and composed. Obviously, losing Kittle is huge, leader, depth piece, everything in between. So that did definitely take a toll on that one, but there's just something about this Niners team. I think they got the magic, and I'm going to lean on Brock Purdy, CMC, Juwan Jennings getting more involved. We'll see if Pearsall gets back and healthy. But I mean, Kendrick Bourne's been all right. Tongas, he's filled a role. I mean, Kittle's been out for the majority of the season, so it's Tongas. It's not like they're getting a random guy filling in right now. Tongas knows what he's doing. Trent Williams is back for him. You see what kind of difference that made for him. And I don't know. I gotta go with this 49ers magic. I just have a feeling the Seahawks are going to falter. So give me the Niners 23-17.
Wow, I don't hate it.
Different.
Hate it. They've been good, and they're getting the job done. They're getting that job done, Ben. I will give you that. This is the game all Pats fans want to talk about. Divisional round this upcoming Sunday. The 12-5 Texans, fresh off of a Monday night win, Ben does not want to talk about, traveling into New England to take on the 14-3 second-seeded New England Patriots. This is a battle of defense in a battle of a new regime. Ben, I'll let you take your time here on what you got for this one.
Yeah, I got to do a little bit of trolling too. I'm gonna take the Texans. I'm gonna take the Texans. Yeah, I'm gonna take the Texans. But I could see the Pats winning this one. Obviously, you can see the Pats winning this one. I think they got the recipe for a mobile quarterback. They can sort of extend the plays. Listen, you're not gonna do much on this Texas defense. They tackle one of the best in the league. You're not gonna get any yards after catch. So we tried to do last night, and clearly no one got the memo that they're this good. But he's just gonna have to make some plays on his feet. Not scramble too much. He's just gonna obviously that's kind of tough for me to say. He's got to scramble, but you can't scramble too much. He's just got to make the smart plays. He can't be, going crazy with it. Take the check down when it's there. Throw it away when you have to. But when there's plays to be made, like you saw, I mean, DK had a possibility for a long catch. Rodgers had a couple times, or if he was, 10 years younger, hey, you can make a couple plays where you run and get that first down, extend the drive, keep that defense out there, tire themselves out. They're great and everything, but they still can be exploited. Just by extending the play longer, and they don't bring crazy amount of pressure. They only bring like 3-4 guys, if that, even sometimes 2. Just having Hunter and Will Anderson rush off the edge, and they still get to him. So they sit back a little. You can pick them apart in that aspect. So he's just got to play smart, take the plays when they're there, and just leave it when it's not. Because with this Texans defense, you got to play the punting game sometimes. You got to play field position. Try to flip the field, and that's what we had it. I mean, Stroud gives you some of those opportunities too with his turnovers, and stopping that offense. So that defense gets put in bad positions. You got to just be able to capitalize on it. Patriots have those weapons to do so, but I'm going to troll, Josh. I'm going to troll. I got to take the Texans. Hey, they were, I think they were like 0-8 in their last wild card road games. Never won a divisional game. In the playoff history. I think both, I know one loss is to the Patriots. I'm not sure if both are, but I know one is. So they definitely have that in the back of their minds. DeMeco Ryans, one of the best young coaches out there. He's going to rally these guys around them. And, with Will Campbell's injury and that offensive line looking not the best for the Pats, I think the Texans are just going to feast. I mean, I think they're going to go crazy on that offensive line. They got the cornerbacks. Obviously Nico being out's tough, but they got the secondary out there to just shut anything down with the Patriots throw out there. So I'm going to take the Texans, Josh. Give me Texans 2017.
Wow, another close.
A little closer. They're all going to be close.
I think so. And hey, you saw especially in the divisional round, but you saw in that wild card weekend, every game was very close, within 10, within 7, I believe. Oh, no, besides that Pats game.
Okay, yeah. It was still close for it.
We've got some interesting stuff coming up live here. We'll keep it going. We'll keep it rolling. I'll go fast. I like the Texans. They've been good. Their defense is strong right now. I mean, as you mentioned, I completely forgot about the Will Campbell injury. They're just stacked from top to bottom. I kind of call them the reincarnation of the Legion of Boom. But their biggest question mark to me is CJ Stroud and that offense, their best offensive player. I know Christian Kirk went absolutely off this last night. Didn't see that coming, but well deserved. They're paying him the money. He's got to step up. But, I look at Nico Collins. This guy's always hurt, Ben. I know it's a concussion, and I don't wish injuries on anybody, but bad injury. And I think that the Patriots do match up pretty well. I think the Pats are going to get this win. I think May has the tools to get the job done and get around this explosive defensive front. I think he can get around. He can play manageable. This is kind of a revenge game for Stephon Diggs. I'm trying to stretch there, but I think we'll see a little bit more of Diggs. I think he wants to shut up those Bills fans, and he might be doing it next week. But I think the Patriots find a way to get this job done. Very low-scoring game, huge game. I think it's going to be kind of similar to last week, as you saw in that Chargers game. That Chargers defense was great. Last night, too, you were seeing defense fly all over the place. I think you're going to see this again. And I think people are sleeping on that Pats pass rush. We saw C.J. Stroud get sacked a few times. I think this New England Patriots defense is a little better than the Steelers. No offense, Ben, but I think the Chase-Ons and the Landrys and those other guys are going to step up pretty big. The Spillanes, I think they can do a good job. Woody Marks is not going to rush for 100 yards. I want to see Nico Collins. If Nico Collins is back, this game's a lot more up in the air, but I still think the Patriots win even if he's back. Without Gonzalez, I think the Patriots will be fine. I think they do match up pretty well. It's going to be frustrating at times. Drake May knows that. He went through a lot of the frustration in last week's game against the Chargers. I think they get the job done. I'm going to say 23-17. They win this game by 6 points. I don't love CJ Stroud like everybody else does, and I think they've got the best coach and quarterback duo in the league, and I think that's what's going to win the Patriots this game. Drake May is going to get his second playoff win this next weekend. I'll go fast here for mine because we've got a big show coming up next that we got to get you guys to. But this is a big one, 6:30. I love what I'm seeing out of the Chicago Bears. I love Caleb Williams. I love the cheese grating. I mean, it's just amazing. He's able to throw 2 interceptions in the first half, and then he kind of is able to carry himself back. But this is no slouch in the Los Angeles Rams. They've got the arguable and probably going to win MVP quarterback there in Matt Stafford. I know they saw kind of a tough matchup in the Panthers, but I think the Panthers match up pretty well with them. The Chicago Bears, they love to do this come from behind thing. I don't think they're going to find a way to fall out of their little hole this week. I think they're going to fall back in a hole, and I think the Rams are going to do a good job at stopping the run. When you stop the run in Chicago, things kind of go away there. I think the Rams match up very well against Chicago's defense. Puka Nacua is the best wide receiver in the league, playing with the MVP of probably the league in Matt Stafford. I think the Rams get the job done. I'm going to say 35-24. I like what Chicago's doing. I just think it's going to come to a screeching halt. I know that's Ben's team in the helmet challenge, so that'll be interesting. Ben and Katrina going at it.
Tease.
But I love the Bears. That's the team I'm really pulling for to win it all. But I don't think they're gonna. I think they're gonna hit a wall here. And Ben Johnson and company have got a great thing going on, Ben. But as always, I'm going to turn it over to Ben. We've got 2 minutes. We got to get off to a big show coming up next. So keep getting those reminder comments in there. Don't worry, guys.
Stay tuned.
We're going to stay tuned. And yeah, as always, leave it over to Ben. I've got Bills, Pats, Rams, and the Seahawks getting the job done this weekend. So, and hey, Buffalo Bills, go Bills, Bill Mafia. That's my helmet team, baby. Let's go.
Yeah, always appreciate everyone. Every time, every show. Massol, great comments from you. Yeah, I'll keep it short and sweet just so we can get to this show going. Give me the Bears. I love the Bears over there. Helmet challenge, as Josh said. They got something going over here with Caleb Williams and Ben Johnson. So I love what I'm seeing. Give me the Texans. Give me the Bears. Give me the Niners. Give me the Bills. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Steelers, go get Flores and Mike McDaniels.
Time out, talks.